MAGA Republican Congressman Lauren Boebert is now publicly whining and alleging a conspiracy theory that a far-right fellow Republican is secretly working with Democrats to rig the upcoming election against her. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bell before you go. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, friends, we have a couple of clips to look at in this video, but it's a continuation of a story that we talked about yesterday. So you have a far-right Republican congressman named Ken Buck, whom we've talked about in previous videos. He is a climate change denier. He thinks abortion should be outlawed with no exceptions. He thinks that President Biden should be kicked out of office via the 25th Amendment. But he's also strangely consistent when it comes to things like impeachment. So he doesn't support the impeachment of President Biden because he's publicly said that MAGA Republicans have not actually produced evidence of an impeachable offense. So this is who we're talking about in relation to Lauren Boebert here. He is a Republican from Colorado, and he announced months ago that he is going to not seek re-election due to dysfunction coming primarily from Republicans and their lies. And then he announced yesterday that he's actually leaving Congress prematurely. He is resigning from Congress the end of next week, okay? Now, as we talked about, this puts Lauren Boebert in a bit of a pickle, but I want you to hear how she is now publicly characterizing the move, and then we'll fact check her.
The Uniparty is trying to do everything that they can to stop my candidacy, to rig the election in Colorado. And, this is breaking news as of yesterday. Ken Buck's announcement yesterday was a gift to the Uniparty. The establishment concocted a swampy backroom deal to try to rig an election that I'm winning by 25 points, forcing an unnecessary special election when the same day as the primary election in Colorado. And this will confuse voters, and it will result in a lame duck congressman on day one and leave the 4th district with no representation for more than 3 months. This is absolutely unacceptable.
Wow. I mean, a lot of whining, no evidence whatsoever. So listen, the fact of the matter is, Ken Buck has made his dissatisfaction with the current state of Congress, again, primarily because of his own party, the Republican Party, their election denialism, their extremism, their inability to get anything done, their incompetence. He's made that publicly well known. And so it's not exactly a surprise that he's decided to leave Congress early. And Lauren Boebert contributed immensely to the conditions that drove Ken Buck to decide to retire. That's her fault. That's the fault of her and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, and all the way up to her cult leader, Donald Trump. And I have absolutely no sympathy for her with respect to the potential complications in terms of her electoral challenges. Now, I don't know where she's seeing that she's winning by 25 points, but we'll get to that in just a second. But she has decided that she's not going to resign from her current seat in order to run in the special election. Because here's the thing. She complains about, swampy deals and shenanigans, but she's engaged in the very same sort of behavior she's alleging. So she currently represents Colorado District 3. Okay, that's her district. She's up against a Democratic challenger whom she barely beat in 2022 by a margin of 500 votes, and he is radically out fundraising her. So in order to avoid a very likely defeat in a general election, she is deciding to run in Ken Buck's district because she thinks she stands a better chance because it's more conservative, more MAGA friendly. That's election shenanigan. That's cynical election politics right there. So even if what she says is true, which we have no evidence, that Ken Buck is conspiring with Democrats to screw Lauren Boebert over, who cares? That's the sort of game she's playing. She just doesn't like it that there's a potential that other people are playing it too. I'm sorry, but MAGA hypocrites need to get over it. But again, there's no evidence that that's going on anyway. It's entirely possible. And based on all evidence, what we've seen is Ken Buck is just personally fed up with the MAGA Republican Party as embodied by Lauren Boebert. Now, I will also say, to her point about whatever advantage she enjoys in this new race, she enjoys considerable name recognition and a fundraising advantage in terms of the cash she has on hand. But her fundraising has also fallen off because she's not very popular. She's just better funded than her counterparts who are also seeking to replace Ken Buck. She also got the endorsement of Donald Trump, right? Which you would think would be enormous currency in this Republican Party. But the day after she got Donald Trump's endorsement, there was a straw poll in Colorado, and she once again struggled. So another straw poll was conducted March 3rd, only a day after Boebert was endorsed in her race by Trump. Once again, she struggled against the competition, placing third behind a former state senator and a veteran state lawmaker. The poll sample size was around 180 debate attendees, which could be considered too low to be representative of broader trends. Okay, so we're going to put a caveat there. They did ask one of the voters there, I voted for Donald Trump in 2016, 2020, and will vote for him again in 2024. I hope he wins. But respectfully, the only endorsement I care about in this race will come from the voters of this district who I've served honorably for 2 decades. I'm sorry, this is not a poll respondent. This is one of Boebert's candidates or competition who did not get an endorsement from Trump, right? But if you look as well, I mean, there's been polling about this. There's been interviews about this. People in Ken Buck's district, Colorado District 4, are fed up with Lauren Boebert's shenanigans, her embarrassment, her lack of decorum, and also, again, that she's just running to a more conservative district simply to remain in power. Now, that sure sounds like swampy behavior to me. In the aftermath of all this, a Republican strategist, Sarah Longwell, was interviewed by MSNBC's Chris Hayes, and this is what she had to say.
2 votes. It seems to me that this is not unrelated, Sarah, to precisely the same forces that are leading to the RNC being taken over in this fashion.
Yeah, what struck me about Ken Buck's resignation is how mad he was. Like, he did a throw it down, I am out of here. He even imperiled, to some degree, Lauren Boebert. And without getting into sort of the complicated reasons why, she's trying to switch districts to run in his district. But he's just made them have to have a special election. And so this is him being done with the party. He gave, Mike Johnson no notice. And I think I'm actually surprised there's not more of these resignations. I mean, there has been an increasing number of people looking at the next couple of years, looking at the fact that Donald Trump's the nominee. And you do see some Republicans walking away, especially people like Mike Gallagher. But I don't know how any of these Republicans stay in office, anyone who's a serious legislator, because what's coming has nothing to do with the party that they once joined, and nothing that they're going to accomplish is going to be serious. They're going to be just people acting at Donald Trump's beck and call. And there's more and more demand for people to act like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, and very little call for people who want to do serious legislating. So I think a few more people should follow Ken Buck out the door and, just let the Democrats do things, because at least they're interested in governing this country.
And that's coming from a lifelong professional Republican strategist. And I completely agree. I do hope that other Republican congresspeople take the cue from Ken Buck, again, a far-right Republican himself who has insane views on a litany of issues, but who is fed up with the lack of even sincere attempts to responsibly govern. That's because the MAGA Republican Party is an authoritarian cult of personality, objectively inferior to the Democratic Party with respect to competent and effective governance. They just suck at it. This is simply not a matter of opinion. It is a fact. Ken Buck recognizes it, and he said as much, which is why he's leaving. I will say, in terms of the demand for MAGA Republicans like Lauren Boebert, certainly within the Republican Party, in the primary field, there is a demand for people like her and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, et cetera, and so forth. But in terms of the general public's appetite for it, we've seen evidence to the contrary. It seems like at the end of the day, people are more likely to want serious governors and legislators than the clown show that is MAGA. So we'll see what happens. But I just love how Lauren Boebert's already whining about it and alleging a grand conspiracy theory, and simply can't fathom the possibility that maybe, she's part of the problem, and she shouldn't be, who she is. She should be somebody else. You know how they say, be yourself? Lauren Boebert should not take that advice. The advice, would you always be yourself? No, be somebody else. Be better. Be somebody who isn't you. And maybe you wouldn't drive people like Ken Buck away. Let me know what you think in the comments.